The next topic is called Al-Qalb Al-Mustawi. Al-Qalb Al-Mustawi. Now, this is a topic which is going to come a bit later on as well. So, some of the Balaghiyun have actually listed this topic in Jinas. Yeah, Jinasul Qalb. So, they mentioned it over there in Jinas, topic of Jinas. But I've actually mentioned it separately because I've seen that some of the ulama like Abdul Qahir al-Jurjani and others, they've actually listed Al-Qalb al-Mustawi separately, as a total separate subject from Jinas. And I think that's correct, that is. Because when we study Jinas, it'll make sense. So, Qalb al-Mustawi. Okay, what is Qalb al-Mustawi? Qalb al-Mustawi is like this. If I say to you, race car. Yeah, race car. If you read it forwards, it's race car. If you read it backwards, it's race car. Yeah, R-A-C-E-C-A-R. R-A-C-E-C-A-R. Yeah, so that's Al-Qalb al-Mustawi, is where you have a word, or you have a few words, and they can be read forwards and backwards. Yeah, I think, I don't know, someone was saying to me, it's called a palindrome. Wallahu alam. Yeah, the same with mom. Mom, mum. Yeah, dad. Dad, dad. Forwards and backwards. So there's two places in the Quran where this is used. It's actually three places, but one of them is like the same form used twice. So وَرَبَّكَ فَكَبِّرْ. Now look at this. This is made up of waw, ra, ba, ba. There's two bas, shadda, kaf, fa, kaf, and then ba, ba, and ra. So if you read it forwards, وَرَبَّكَ فَكَبِّرْ. And if you read it backwards, وَرَبَّكَ, or ignore the waw, رَبَّكَ فَكَبِّرْ, رَبَّكَ فَكَبِّرْ. So this is forward and backwards. Now, this isn't something which is random. Yeah, this is not something which is random. In fact, if you study Arabic poetry, you'd find that there's some Arabs who actually wrote poetry, or a few lines of poetry, to try and capture this. Yeah, and it's you can find many examples in the books of Balagha with regards to poetry of how they done it, and they've become quite artistic in there as well. Like some of them wrote poetry. I mean, you can get it in that. There's an English poem that I saw recently. It's not a poem. It's a kind of conversation that between two people. If you read it going down, it means one thing, and if you read it backwards, it means something else. So it's artistic, that is. So obviously, when it comes to these, like in the books of Balagha, they'll say stuff like, this is the artistic fun, or this is whatever. There's a lot of scholars of Balagha who don't like that, because what they say is, what you're trying to say is Allah has put these verses in this particular order just to show His artistic power, and that goes against the majesty, the glory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why would He have to lower this level of the Quran to make it artistic for people? It's not. So there's these rhythms and these scales and all these devices that Allah uses, balagha. These are things that are not there to entertain us. These are there for a reason for our guidance. So رَبَّكَ فَكَبِّرْ. Now if you look at this, رَبَّكَ فَكَبِّرْ, this verse is actually used in Surah Muddathir, and this was one of the first verses that was revealed to the Prophet ﷺ, and it's used in such a way of repetition. So رَبَّكَ فَكَبِّرْ, فَكَبِّرْ رَبَّكَ. And I did put a post up recently on Facebook with regards to the benefits of fa. Yeah, ataf, fa atafan, fa sababi and all that. So this is fa, according to many of the ulama, this is fa jaza, this is. So it's as though Allah is saying here that whatever the situation may be, whatever you come across in life, فَكَبِّرْ رَبَّكَ. Yeah, glorify, magnify your Lord, the one that nurtured you, the one that took care of you. Just magnify Him all the time. Whatever the kuffar say to you, whatever situation you're in, whatever illness you're in, always magnify Allah. And by bringing Rabbaka forward, it gives it more emphasis, and it gives it takhsis, exclusivity. And by putting it before this, it's given it this rhythm as well. So it's like a repetitive cycle now. Yeah, cycle that's going around and around. In other words, this is how a Muslim's life should be. Always praising Allah, always doing the takbir of Allah, always magnifying, glorifying Allah. And this is so amazing because if you think about it, the wording is in such sequence that it just shows that kind of repetitive cycle. Rabbaka fakabbir, Rabbaka fakabbir, fakabbir Rabbaka kabbir. Okay, so that's one anyway. The next one. وَكُلٌّ فِي فَلَكٍ وَكُلٌّ فِي فَلَكٍ. So again, so we ignore the wow. Now this appears in the Quran. This appears twice. One in Surah Yasin and one in Surah Anbiya. So kullun fi, we'll break up the fi. Okay, so fi is made up of fa and ya, technically, and then you have fa, and then you have lam, and then you have kaf. Now we're going to take out one lam from here. So one lam is going to go. Yeah, so we got that. Now again, so this again, it follows that same principle. Now you see this one, this one actually is slightly different from the previous one because this one has an extra lam in there. This one has an extra lam, but that lam is kind of replaced with a tanween at the end. Falakin. So that kin is like there's an extra letter there. Yeah, tanween replaced by that. So anyway, let's remove those two. So again, kullun fi falakin. So you have 1, 2, 3, kaf lam fa, and then fa lam kaf. Okay, so 3, 2, 1. Kullun fi falakin. Kullun fi falakin. Again, the theme of this ayah is placed in talking about the orbit of the celestial objects. So objects in the heavens, or in the skies rather, in the space, the sun, the moon. So we know through science nowadays that there's an orbit system where you have everything in the sky has an orbit. It moves around in an orbit. Now in the olden days, they didn't have this the modern understanding of this as we do. Many of them had different theories. So the Quran says that all these objects in the sky, kullun refers to every single thing. Yeah, kullu shay'in. So that's tanween al-iwad. Kullun fi falakin yasbahun. Every single thing is spinning, and falak means a thing that, like a wheel that the weaver uses to spin things. So Allah says kullun fi falak. So again, it twists around this way, backwards, forwards, backwards. It's like a spinning kind of cycle. Yeah, kullun fi falakin, kullun fi falakin, kullun fi falakin. So again, this is qalb al-mustawi. So this again shows that Allah is not only using this wording in this particular order, but Allah is also showing that there's an orbit that's being taken like this, and the way you pronounce it is also like that as well. So anyway, so that's basically qalb al-mustawi. Like I said, there's only 3 places in the Quran this exists. This one is times 2. Yeah, in Surah Anbiya as well. And it's something which is unique as well. How did the Prophet ﷺ know that the planets were in this kind of orbit? How could he have known this? Okay.